And we're back live on your number one sports podcast, All Things Sports. Small Town EP here live from Atlanta. Wait, Julian live from New York. Big Kev Shot It will join us momentarily. Miami got one on the Celtics, but couldn't spin the block. Whew. June, the Celtics defeat the Heat in the first round. In my opinion, though, I mean, it was. I know you're not going to agree because you're a Heat fan, but it was expected. Like, this is number one seed versus a number 8 seed. They're seeding for a reason. So, in my opinion, there should be no celebration from Boston. June?
I mean, it's always tough, right? It's always tough when you lose a playoff series. It's never fun. Um, it doesn't sting as much as obviously last year, like getting to the finals. The year before that, losing in the conference finals. Um, 2021, we get bounced out from Milwaukee on their revenge tour. Um, that hurt more than this one because one, we could have won game one and it went to overtime and then everything else went down the drain. But we kind of just got punched in the mouth in that series and couldn't respond. This one, we went into it unhealthy. I mean, we didn't have our starting point guard and we didn't have our starting small forward, who's our best player. So, I do look at it like how much could we have expected? You know what I'm saying? Like you said, I do look at it like I do look at it a little bit like I'm glad it's over because without your star player and then a facilitating point guard who can score, it's a tough thing to have to face. I will give the credit to the Celtics for coming out playing hard, whooping our ass. Like, I could say fuck the Celtics. I could say I hate the Celtics. I could say I hate Coach Missoula, and all that. Yeah, for sure. But at the end of the day, I do respect competition. I do, respect the fact that they were able to not win these super close games and make it tough on them. They really came out and they put they did what they did, and for them to let us get that one in Boston, I think we humbled them a little bit going forward in these playoffs, so that they're going to be a little more weary on how they approach teams in games that they should win. Um, and since then they responded very well, shooting the ball amazing. Derek White had his career game in Miami, which he seems to do in the playoffs versus us time and time again. Um, Jaylen Brown had a really good series. Um, so I'm not even gonna analyze the series. We all watched it or didn't, and the Heat got whooped in 4 out of 5 games. Um, our offense couldn't really produce at certain points, and I think that really hurt us because our defense did play good and stepped up to the challenges that we faced. But ultimately, that's the best team in the league right now, right? And they are until proven otherwise. So shout out to the Celtics. They should go into the second round understanding that, hey, we did play a depleted team. We did play a team whose offense isn't clicking as well as they have before right now. So they would have to look at their game plan and see what they're going to do for their next matchup, and act accordingly. Because I don't think this is a good enough example, or like this was a good enough test for them to really see if this is the championship team. So second round Eastern Conference Finals, it's only going to get tougher for them, but they deserve to be there. So it is what it is. Shout out to Mark in the chat. He hates Boston. I do too, bro. So we can definitely stand on that together.
Nah, fact. Shout out to Mark in the chat. He's a part of the Roll with the Winners group chat that I'm in. So shout out to everybody in the Roll with the Winners group chat. I
Facts.
mean, yeah, everything that you said. I mean, it almost is one of those like is what it is type of situations, especially when it's a 40-point loss in the closeout game. it,
Yeah.
it al- it almost seems fitting, because you guys have traded blows back and forth in recent years in the playoffs. You guys win one, they win one. You guys win one, they win one. It does seem fitting that if this is Boston's year for a championship, then they had to go through Miami to get there. It just had to be a part of the step, of the saga. Essentially, I know you said you don't want to like over break down the series, over analyze the series. What about the Heat season? As a Heat fan, where do you guys go from here? There's rumors, there's people are speculating, do we get Jimmy out of there? Focus on Jaime, focus on, run the offense through Bam, things like that. Where do you see? I know it's a little premature, but where would you like? There you go. Where would you like to see you guys go this summer in free agency?
Um, I'll say this: it's a little early for that, and I know you know that. I don't want to entertain it too much. Obviously, like Donovan Mitchell is a target. I definitely want to keep an eye on what Phoenix plans to do with Kevin Durant, but Donovan Mitchell seems like a realistic thing. They say he works in the timeline with Bam Adebayo as far as their careers. Um, you have to keep Jimmy Butler. Like you owe Jimmy Butler, honestly. And if he wants that 2 year extension for the max money, you give it to him. I mean, he clearly makes this franchise go. And Dan Levitard said that the Heat window with this Jimmy Butler window is closed. I don't believe that to be true. I do think Jimmy Butler still has some in the tank. Unfortunately, his playoffs were cut short due to a knee injury, but you can still put a guy or two next to Jimmy and Bam, um, and get some high level basketball out of it. It really sucks that we traded Kyle Lowry and a first round pick for Terry Rozier, who didn't get any playoff minutes. Right, like I think that's a big thing. Um, Not having a point guard, out there, your starting point guard, it's gonna show. And so right now, give it a couple weeks. We'll talk about the off season when we do, and what moves we really can do, and who's everybody to me is available. If just so you know, like if your name is
Facts.
not Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, I have no ties. I have no ties, and just elephant in the room with Tyler Hero. Uh, Much respect to Tyler Hero and what he was able to do this season, as far as being that 20 point per game score for us, battling an injury in which he missed weeks on weeks on weeks, and then coming back and regaining that confidence and being that 20 point per game scorer. Uh, but with all that being said, he only had one good game in these playoffs. It was the game we won, and we saw how much of Tyler Hero's good production impacts his team. He wasn't able to find that in any other game, and those resulted in lopsided victories for the Celtics. So, does Tyler Hero need to step his game up 100%? Um, I don't know that Tyler Hero's on his team next year.
Wow. Okay.
I will say that if he's not, I think it's for the better in the sense that we'd be giving him up, to acquire a much better player. So I wouldn't be mad. I do love, Tyler Hero. I'm a fan of his, but at this point, um, we can't try to keep figuring things out with this roster as constructed. We lost Gabe Vincent last year. We lost Max Strus, and Gabe Vincent doing nothing for the Lakers right now. So it's pretty, frustrating to see somebody who shot the ball really, really well for us. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. I would hope that we are in the runnings and actually acquire a star. We need to put someone next to Jimmy Butler who can take the lead on offense, get his own bucket, and also be smart enough and mature enough to know when to, you know, play the second fiddle or so. So it's going to be a long off season. Last year we were here and Dame Lillard was the talk of the town. Dame Lillard to Miami, Dame Lillard to Miami. He wants to be here. It was reports every day. And man, we get the breaking news that the Bucks traded for him and Joe Cronin, you know, did what he did. So it was tough. It was a tough summer. This season was up and down. We battled injury a lot. We were 2.5, 3 games away from that 2 seed for the last 2 weeks of the season, and just couldn't be serious. Couldn't be serious. So we got where we got. We finished up with the 8 seed and a playing loss, and a loss to the Boston Celtics. So um, with all that being said, go Timberwolves or Nuggets. I hope the West wins the championship this year.
Yo, shout out to everybody in this chat. Strix, Jay, Mark. You mentioned
Strix.
you mentioned the injuries that you guys had today. Oh, well, you just mentioned the injuries you guys had this season. Jay in the chat asked, "Do you guys think you need to take the regular season a little more serious, or was it just the injuries?" And I know there's the whole stigma of second half Jimmy, playoff Jimmy, and things like that. And I've always said you guys thrive off of that, like competitive. We need to get to this point, and we're not there right now. Would you prefer to see you guys just maintain up, or do you think that that's just kind of a part of the Heat culture?
Well, to answer the first question, like to Jay's point, shout out to Jay, by the way. I can't say that we need to take the regular season more serious. I don't think that we don't take the regular season more serious. I do see Jimmy Butler. I hate to use the word coast because I don't think that it's a coast. I think that it's a calculated progression throughout the season, which if he's going to be our guy in the playoffs and he's going to give us that production he did last year going forward, I don't, obviously he doesn't have to be as great as he was last year, but um, that type of production in the playoffs, if you need to, take the thing is, Jimmy Butler impacts the game for the Heat in many ways. It's not just scoring. So he facilitates for us really well. He plays great defense, and his hands are always dirty. So I don't think the Heat coast. I think we try, and I think Eric Spoelstra has to deal with a lot of injuries and new starting lineups and, like trial and error. So there's a lot of experimenting during the regular season, which we'd hope that get us right for the playoffs. But sometimes it's a little too much. So I do think we need to kind of put a bigger eye or spotlight on uh, our health staff, like our you know I forget what that's called, but yeah, like our health staff,
Your training staff, your
because
medical
training
staff.
staff, yeah, like we're dealing with a lot of injuries,
Mm.
and it's something to keep an eye out on why that reason is. But this year was very tough and plagued. So I like I said, I don't think we don't take the season serious. I think we compete all 82. Um, some days we're just better than we are on other days, and I think that's also part of the association. So
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I really hope that at some point in this off season, Jaime Jaquez gets a call from the front office. And I'm like, hey, big man upstairs wants to talk to you today before workouts, before weight room, before whatever. And Spolstra and Riley just sit down with Jaquez and tell him, listen, you did well last season. You did well, but you didn't do enough. All right, and I hope that they challenge him. I do want to see more of those 25 and 10 games, 26 and 8 games. I 2.5 assists. I think he could be a role player, and the 2.5 assists kind of just I want you should be up there around the 5, and I just think that he could do a little more. Obviously, it's not centered around him. I'm not saying that they need to run the offense through Hyman, but we saw in games like Philly where he drops 31 and 10. We've seen him, in other games drop, like I just said, dropping 25 and 10. I would like to see him become more of an impact player. It kind of seems like he lets the stars shine bright around him, and he kind of lets himself dim down a little bit in certain moments. And I think it would behoove of him to step up to the plate a little more and be confident in his game. I think, obviously first year player, so it's not all there yet, but I think a nice challenge from the front office and a nice man to man, like, hey, we want you here, but you need to do more type of conversation between him, Riley, and Spolstra would definitely do well. How do you feel about Jaime Jaquez this year, first year?
Yeah, man. Shout out to Jaime, bro. Like I think he did a excellent job. He came in super hot, cooled off. I don't know if he lost some confidence or what the case was, and he really kind of hit this cold streak, which is understandable. I mean, he's a rookie, and then in the playoffs or like late, late last week and a half, 2 weeks going into the play-in and the playoffs. I mean, Jaime Jaquez came in and brought he brought his ball shoes to work and started hooping again. So I think he's on the right track. He's on the up and up, as they say. I I think he can get to that 25-6, 30-10 game eventually, but I don't know that that's going to be his career. He impacts the game in a lot of ways, and I do think facilitation is going to be something he needs to put under his belt a little more. You're right, 2.5 assists could be a little higher, but as far as just coming in here being a rookie first round draft pick to the Miami Heat, who were just in the finals, who lost in the conference finals before, it's a big role to fill because we needed him to contribute this year, and so. Um, I'm all in on Jaime Jaquez. I do think he's going to be just fine, and he's going to contribute and help us uh, bring a championship back to Miami. However, if, as I mentioned, another team wants to come and swoop that, and we have a great opportunity to get an amazing player, send them. You know what I'm saying? Send them for sure.
Phone calls are being taken on everybody, is what June is saying. Whew. The Philadelphia 76ers, everyone counted them out. Everyone thought that, hey, this is over. New York in 5. Philly takes game 5. 112-106 in the Garden, overtime game. Tyrese Maxey,
Whew.
46 points.
Yeah.
46 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists,
Yeah.
was flirting with the double-double. After the game, he walked up to Joel Embiid and said, hey, 2 more, I got you.
Hey.
We got game 6 tonight, June. And I know we were talking off camera. You said you really hope Philly wins this series. You didn't even just say game 6, but you said you really hope Philly wins this series. Will New York close it out tonight, or will your wishes prevail?
Hey, man. So my I've been objective about this series the whole time. And I had the Knicks winning this series in 5 games. So I was already wrong. I don't mind being wrong again. And Philadelphia is not supposed to be here right now. That's kind of all I know. And going back to game 2 and seeing how the Knicks won and what I said after that game when we came on here and spoke to each other, I said, I don't know what just happened at the end of the game, but the Knicks won that game and Philly lost that game. Like the Knicks wanted it more. They went after it. They earned it. Last game, game 5, wasn't necessarily a case of New York losing the game to the point of not wanting it more than Philly. I think they wanted it extremely equal, if not more. But it comes down to execution. And so missed free throws, bad decisions by Jalen Brunson, bad shot taking by Jalen Brunson after scoring 5 straight to open up the overtime period. It just was downhill. And, it's like tonight it's only going to be harder. Elimination games are tough. Like they say game 7, win or go home. Both teams are feeling that pressure. But when you're playing a game where you can lose this game technically and things will be fine, but if you win, it's over. And so having Philly, backs against the wall, desperation mode with 2 guys who are perennial all-stars in this league, and an MVP type player in Joel Embiid, whether you love him, hate him, like him, or dislike him. He is who he is. He's a 7 foot monster who can score. Didn't have his greatest game in game five, but he's obviously hobbling on one knee, you know? I think that Philly can muster the strength and the will to win game six in Philadelphia, having, the home crowd. And it's funny I say home crowd because the New York Knicks fans did do a great job of traveling and making it feel or seem at least like a Philadelphia Sixers home game, uh, where you know the "Let's Go Knicks" chants were flying, a lot of orange and blue in the crowd, and so ownership took heed of this, and they bought a bunch of tickets for fans from Philadelphia and passed them
2,000
out on the
tickets to
streets.
be exact. 2,000.
Passed them out on the street. So, um, I do want to just I do want to just acknowledge that's a crazy way to like publicly out yourself, and confirm that yes, it was a madhouse, it was a Knicks house a couple of days ago, and so Philly fans got to do better. Get to the game tonight, buy your tickets, and show support for the team that fights for you guys because right now you guys have a chance to do something that not a lot of teams can do, and that's come back from 3-1. And Maxi and Embiid, the way they're playing right now, whether Maxi's Embiid is on one leg or not, clearly it's enough. So um, shout out to the Sixers, shout out to the Knicks. They've given us a good series so far. It's probably the best first round series we got so far, and yeah, man. They're saying pick the under 202 and a half. So
Woo.
who knows? Let me
Okay.
tap the chat real quick, because I did see Jay had two questions in regards to the Heat, and I didn't address them. Do I want to sign Jimmy to that max? I do. I want Jimmy to retire as a Miami Heat player. I'll be completely honest. Um, Obviously, things happen, and the way the NBA goes, like we see guys at the end of their career, move on and do something else. But I would most definitely love to see Jimmy Butler uh, stay on the Heat. I mean, yeah, he's older. Like, look at him. He's still super athletic. He's still, toward the tail end of his prime and doing what he's got to do. I'll take it. Next question was, do I think that uh, Tyler here should be more accepting of the 6 man role? It wasn't even a question. It's true. We've seen Tyler Hero come off the bench. The record for the Miami Heat is better when Tyler Hero comes off the bench as opposed to starting. And um, yeah, I'm glad Udonis Haslam went on First Take and told the world what he feels about the Miami Heat. He's as close as it gets. And when UD is saying something like, yeah, I think you're better suited for a 6 man role, you have to just kind of sit back and understand that. And with patience, and time, things will clear up. But um, yeah, we can't have him at that starting two guard. Um, Jaime was snapping until he strained his groin in January, messed up his rhythm for the rest of the year. I definitely agree. He said Tyrese Maxey wanted it more. We folded. You definitely folded. Maxey
Folded
definitely wanted it,
like an
but
elbow.
you guys still went to overtime. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not well. The fold was before overtime, where you guys are up six, give up a 4 point play, and then, uh, you know, and then
Like a weak elbow.
that other three, crazy. I was at shout out to all the Knicks fans that I know, through Twitter and shit like that. I was at Diamante's for game five, and this is the first time I try to walk in the bar there. And well, this was Blarney Stone downstairs first. I tried to get in, and the door was blocked off, like people standing at the door watching the TV, going crazy about the game. I had to squeeze through like 20
Pardon,
people to
pardon,
get
pardon.
to, what I'm saying? Yeah, pardon me, to get to the table I was looking for. And to see the energy switch was pretty crazy because, like I said, bro, 28 seconds, 6 points. That game is over. That game is done. So for them to had come back and silence the crowd quite literally where I was, everybody started picking up their tabs. paying out and leaving. That was kind of funny.
Listen, what is Kyle? I get he's from he's from Philly. What is Kyle Lowry doing on the floor? He's just running sprints. I mean, 26 minutes, no points, 5 fouls, 5 assists, 2 rebounds in a playoff game. Crazy. I get that you're in your year, whatever. I don't even think that as a player, like I'm not gonna. He's the NBA champion. I can't do that to him. But he doesn't get a year, like year and year. You don't get that satisfaction. All right. I, Granted, you won the game. It wasn't because of Kyle Lowry. It probably wouldn't have gone to overtime if Kyle Lowry was a little more present in the game. But hey, neither here nor there. Joel Embiid gets a triple double. Tyrese Maxey scores 46 points, seals it in overtime. They definitely just wanted it more. And when you got Tracy Morgan on the sidelines, courtside, flicking you off because you're just a Knicks fan that's so upset right now, I can imagine seeing that on TV is wild. I can imagine the energy that you felt in the city while you were in the bar with a bunch of Knicks fans.
Yeah, man.
I think this game 6 is a game 7. It's like you were saying. This is game 7. Do the Knicks, as much as I'm sure they would love to close it out, at the Garden, do not let it get to a point where you got to start. It goes to game 7 and you're blaming refs and
Right.
you're, because, this is game 7, you can't call that. Well, if we didn't go to game 7, it wouldn't have had to call that. So at this point, this is literally game 6 is game 7. Plan B is plan A. Like there is no plan B. You know what I mean?
Just win the game.
Yeah, you can't let this go to 7 because at that point it gets messy, and you just don't want to put yourself in the predicament that you don't want to be in. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Whew. Jay's still talking about how they folded in overtime. I feel you, man. It's like that. It'd be like that. That's the nature of playoff basketball. I want to kick it over.
Being a Knicks fan.
I want to kick it over to a live look-in. The Bucks and the Pacers are playing right now. This is Game 6 in Indy. Live look-in. First quarter, about 3 minutes left. The Pacers are up 23-19. Pacers trying to close this series out in 6 this evening. Middleton got 2 points right now. It's early, obviously, first quarter. Not a lot to really point out. I mean, who do you got tonight? Can the Pacers close this out? Because regular season numbers say, look, Pacers are valid. They were at 4-1 this season, with their only loss coming in Milwaukee. So these home games shouldn't be a problem. They should be able to close it out June tonight, but will they close it out tonight?
Dame is back. I'm not gonna lie. Dame is back. There you go, Kev. Dame is back, and I think it's a bigger deal than some might look at it to be. Whether he has it fully to go tonight or he's gonna be more decoy, he's an extra body who, you know what I'm saying, takes a lot of attention off of other people and can help you space the floor. So I'm excited to see Dame take over game 6. This is like what he was brought here to do. The time is now. Elimination game. You could either, change something now about how this season is going and has gone, or you can kind of accept your fate and just go outside. I do think the Bucks come back today, win today. Do they play tonight? Is this tonight? They're playing right now. I'm tripping. I do think they come back today, win, and then we got a real good game 7. Like we got it. Like I think both Philly and exactly this team. We're talking about them now. Jesus Christ.
The Pacers, the Bucks.
Yes, the Pacers. The Bucks. Bro, honestly, sometimes, and I apologize to all the viewers, all the listeners, because one, shout out to y'all. But sometimes my mind just draws a blank and I don't have an explanation for it. I can't act like I know why I do it. I wish I never do. But sometimes my mind just draws a blank, and my guys, EP and Kev, could always piggyback and help me out. But yeah, I do think that the Bucks and the Sixers
And the
force Game
Pacers.
Seven. No, 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 no,
Oh, okay. I
no,
see
no,
what you're
no, no,
saying. I
no.
see what you're saying. I
Force
see what you're
Game
saying.
Seven. Force Game Seven.
I see what you're
That's
saying.
funny.
I see what you're saying.
So
Yeah, I gotta believe in Milwaukee. I mean, as horrendous as that regular season series was, and the Pacers just beating them time after time. Granted, some of those were in the in season tournament that we kind of quickly forgot about. But anyways, some of
the
those were in the in
Lakers won
season.
that.
Yeah, put a banner up for it too. As horrendous as that regular season series was, I gotta believe in Giannis and Dame, and I mean even the tenacity that Patrick Beverly has when he's on the court. I gotta believe that that they'll force a game seven and not go out sad. We are welcoming Big Kev Shot It onto the set right now. Better late than never, you know what I mean. Kev, how you doing today, bud?
I'm good. I'm good. I was stuck in some traffic on the way back from the barber. I drive 40 minutes to my barber because I don't trust anybody else with my hair. So
Hey, I
Hey,
understand,
I
bro.
take an hour ride to Brooklyn on the train for my barber.
yeah.
My uncle now was put onto that barber, and he drives now, so it's about 40 minutes ourselves. However,
If I'm in New
back
York
to
City, I'm also traveling to Brooklyn for my haircut to Fabian. Shout out to the good people at Fabian's. The Dominicans are taking care of me. But we'll get right back to the Bucks and Pacers before
yeah,
before we get Kev's thoughts on the Heat that you missed. Pacers closing it out tonight or Bucks forcing Game 7, Kev?
Yeah,
Oh wait,
Pacers.
June.
Oh, okay.
nah, go ahead, Kev.
No, I was gonna keep it quick. Pacers belt to asses tonight. Pacers win.
Oh, oh,
Oh, belt to
I don't know,
ass.
bro. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. And also, I'm watching highlights right now from Game Five. It says they had on TNT while the game was going on. Oh, they're showing highlights of today's game. I'm tripping. Okay, I was gonna say, why does it say Pacers lead 3-2 if y'all showing old highlights? Nonetheless, I think the reason the reason I would like the Bucks to come back has a little bit to do with the Knicks hate that I'm getting off right now. I would definitely want to see Giannis come back healthy, Dame get a little bit more time to heal up, and the Knicks win the series versus Sixers and have to go through the Bucks in order to get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Listen, if you want Knicks hate on this podcast, you've got the right guy. I'm here now. All
Yeah,
right.
I
Let's
already we're getting
they've
to
got to
that
get
point in the
past
podcast.
they've got to get past Maxey and Embiid before they start worrying about who they see in the second round. So
Definitely. And we'll get your thoughts on the Knicks as well, just to catch you up. But EP, I think you want to hear his thoughts on Miami, Miami going outside versus Boston. Keep it quick, please, Kev.
keep it kick, keep it cordial, keep it simple. But yeah, what I guess I'll ask you the same question that I asked June. Where would it's a little premature, obviously. I know that, we know that, the viewers and everyone listening, shout out to y'all know that. Where would you like to see you guys go this off season? And that's A. B. How much more of an impact can Jaime Jaquez make after going through, let's say, his first off season, going into his second season? So first, where would you like your, the Heat to go this off season? Does Jimmy get a max this off season? What do you expect out of Jaime next season? There you go.
I would expect Jimmy to get whatever he wants. Um, he's just, I mean, since he's been here, it's been good. Um, Obviously, don't not having him in this most recent series hurt. It's clear to see. So, I definitely think Jimmy. I understand the concept of paying a 37-year-old that much money at the end of his contract, but I think Pat learned from the Dwayne situation that at the end of the day, it's a guy who came here, didn't have to, and uh, you got to pay the guy. He's been the heart of the franchise for the last 4 seasons. Took you to 2 NBA Finals. Took you one shot away from a third,
Yeah.
and so that's he's the cornerstone of your franchise along with Bam Adebayo, and those are the two guys that you need to pay when it comes down to it, and figure the rest out around them. But I think those are the two guys, especially Bam. Bam to me is more untouchable than Jimmy because of age, and he's just to me he's the future of this franchise. He's the captain. He's the heart and soul of this team. People want to talk about he needs to average 30 a game. No, he doesn't. He's the best pound for pound defensive player in the league. And when you're the best pound for pound defensive player in the league, the fact that you can contribute 20 points as well, that's just a plus. So I think Bam, especially with him opening his range to beyond the 3-point line towards the end of the season, and we see he can make it and make it consistently. I believe he had 7 games in a row, 6 or 7 games in a row. I could be wrong, but with him having a 3 in the regular to end the regular season, and so I think a full season of that, teams are going to have to game plan for that now. And I think Bam Adebayo can take a step up from this past season into going into next season. But yeah, he doesn't need to average 30 a game to do that. He just needs to keep being who he is on the defensive end and be a little more aggressive on the other end on offense when it's there. And there you go. I feel like what's on Julian's screen now is the perfect way to end talking about this Boston series.
No
yeah,
celebration.
No, there's I mean, you beat an 8 seed that was banged up. I mean, if you want to take a victory lap for that, go ahead. But
if I can interject here, I do want to bring up the question I posed in the group chat yesterday. The Locksmith, shout out to the Locksmith group chat. Should the Celtics be proud of this win, this series win, or and acknowledge the fact that they played really well, or should they kind of just understand that they did play a banged up 8th seed who has a lackluster offense, and they need to understand, like, okay, this is what I said, because I put too much words there. I said Celtics play like this, they can win the finals, or are they playing really good but against a really unhealthy and lackluster offensive team?
I think both. The way they shot the ball, I mean, if they shoot the ball the way they shot the ball, it's still, they're still going to be able to put up points and compete with anybody. But I mean, as far as the team, it's always good to move on to the next round. You have to play who's in front of you, and they went out and they beat who was in front of them. So for the team, that's great. For the fans, I don't want to hear anything. You beat a banged up team. I don't want to hear it. Keep your thoughts to yourself.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. I'm right there as well. They're acknowledge that you played well. You shot the ball out. You shot the ball. You shot very well. You did a great job. Maybe focus on some of the mistakes and the mishaps that happened in the game that the Heat took. But I think you chalk that one up. You keep it moving. I mentioned, Kev, that you, as in the Heat and the Celtics, have been trading blows back and forth the last couple seasons in the postseason. So if this is the Celtics year and if they do win the championship, it just made sense that they had to go through Miami to get that done. Like, it's just part of the saga, it's part of the trilogy, it's part of the story, in my opinion.
Yeah, it just it would have been. I think it would have meant more to the Celtics, even the players, if Jimmy Butler was in the lineup and they beat that team. But
yeah, I totally agree. Do you got any last second thoughts on the Heat and Celtics? Kev, Knicks close it out tonight, or does Philly force a game 7? Because I think this is game 7 for the Knicks.
I'm very. I don't think that. I am very torn on this though, because I can see it going either way. Just to fuel the hater in me, I will say Philly wins.
Oh man,
Listen,
I want to. What's up?
A Philly win, watching Knicks fans squirm for the next 2 days is good enough for me. You know what I mean? So
yeah, June mentioned that he wanted Philly to win this game and this series really bad. I want to kick it over to the West Coast, where Luka Suns the Clips. See what I did there? Play on words. Suns aren't in it anymore, but it is what it is. Luka Doncic, after saying, I need to do better, I need to help Kyrie more, comes out, scores 35 assists 10 times, gets 7 rebounds, and leads Dallas to a 123-93 victory in the Crypto.com arena in Los Angeles. Whew. Dallas is up 3-2 now, going back to Dallas. Another game 7, in my opinion. Can't let this actually get to 7. Need to take care of it. June, what do the Clippers need to do to force that game 7?
Score.
More than the
Score.
other team.
Score. No, like I think it was in the third quarter. They didn't score for like the first 7 minutes or something. And it's just like, we can't have that. James Harden putting up 7 points. And y'all, y'all know me. I'm the first person to stand behind James Harden and be, nah, we not going for that. James Harden. And I was going hard on Sunday and Monday when I'm like, yo, James Harden came out with Paul George. They put up 30 plus. James Harden had a great fourth quarter, battling Kyrie, and kept them boys from losing that game and losing a 30-point lead in that game. But truth be told, they lost a 30-point lead, made it a close game, and then came out in game 5 and shit the bed and got whooped. And every game that they've lost, it's been a blowout. So, obviously, I'm always say it comes down to execution. You got to put the ball in the basket, but you can't go on a spurt of 7 straight minutes without scoring a bucket and expect to, keep up with offense like the Mavericks offense, especially with how they're clicking right now. Kyrie's getting it rolling. Luka's doing his thing. Guys, role players like Gafford, Washington, like everybody's finding their way. But I say all that, and I still think that game 6 could go to the Clippers in a blowout fashion because the Mavericks at the same time are showing that both of these teams are capable of having a great day or having a horrible day. And it sucks for us as fans that they don't necessarily have them on the same day, like both great games, like we don't get to see this uber competitive game for 4 quarters, but that's where we are in today's NBA. And so I have to accept that, but it is frustrating to watch. And knowing that the Clippers are this, really talented team, missing Kawhi hurts because at the end of the day, yes, they're 2-1 without Kawhi now in the playoffs. He is their best player when healthy, right? So not having your best player is going to affect you. And that's not the way you drew it up. That's not the way you constructed the team to go into a heavy playoff matchup. Clippers, Mavericks, they have history. And
oh yeah.
Is this game tomorrow? I think this game is tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
We're gonna see, man. We're gonna see. But the Clippers can't come out, second half and struggle to score as much as they did yesterday. They're not gonna be able to keep up with Luka and Kyrie.
Yeah, I think as far as this being the Dallas game 7, I don't agree with that either because we've seen Dallas go into Phoenix in a game 7 and beat them by what's the meme? Chris Paul hits a 3 to cut the lead to 43 or something like that. So I think Dallas can go on the road and win a game in LA like they just did. I do think they close it out though at home. I just think they're clicking. I thought before the playoffs started, if there's one team in the West that can beat Denver, it's Dallas because they have Luka and Kyrie, and I think that duo is just as good as about anybody when it comes down to playoff basketball, half court offense. And I got one of those two guys with the ball in their hands. So as far as not just shot making but playmaking, so I think that's the biggest threat to Denver. Minnesota has proven themselves to be also a formidable threat, but I think Dallas is just a little bit of a bigger threat because of that 2-man game. We know that Minnesota is a lot of Ant, and Dallas, it's if Kyrie doesn't have it going, does Luka. If Luka doesn't have it going, does Kyrie. And if both of them have it going, then good luck.
To that, my argument with Dallas and versus Minnesota as far as being the best opponent for Denver. I think Minnesota is very hot right now, right? And both Denver and Minnesota finished out their series um, with a sweep and a gentleman's sweep. They're both going to be rested. They're both going to, it's like that same time period, both hot. But Minnesota's confidence has to be like sky high coming off of a series sweep against the Suns, a team who eliminated them in the playoffs. And um, Kyrie and Luka are definitely a tough duo to contain. But when they don't got it, they don't got it. And when the Mavericks don't have it, they just don't have it. And the Timberwolves, as they don't win every game, but we don't see them play horrible. To me, we haven't seen such a bad Timberwolves game this year. I feel like they've been pretty competitive throughout the whole season, stayed in that top 3, top 4 range all of the season. Kyrie and Luka and the Mavericks have had to figure things out, see what works, lose really bad, make some trades, get better. And granted, they're here and they're one game away from winning the first round, but they're making it harder than it might have to be. And so with that, I do think the Timberwolves, with the size they have up front, Gobert and Cat, and a starter like Anthony Edwards, and a guy who is really probably going to be the X factor in that Denver series, Jaden McDaniels, I think they are the better competitor for Denver. Real quick, also going back to that Boston Miami talk, uh, Ray did say in the chat, no KP is going to hurt Boston going forward. I wholeheartedly agree. I think he's a huge part of what they do. Obviously, Strix is going super hard right now. He's on his high horse, whatever. Because all caps, by the way, Kev, because it's your team that lost. If Indy wins today, you're not going to be like, oh, that team was hurt. That might have been to me as well. Oh, no, that was to you because we were talking about the banged up. But also to that point about Indy, yeah, I would definitely think that Indy had a lot of what Indy winning versus the Bucks has to do with is no Giannis and Dame. Like, let's be honest. I understand Indy played really well against this team. I understand that the Bucks haven't played well since they've made their coaching change, but I wouldn't tell you going into the series that I thought Indy was going to beat Milwaukee if I knew that Giannis was going to be 100% and Dame wouldn't get hurt in game 2 or whatever it was. So
1,000%. Listen, there is no I in team, but there is one in Magic. And Paolo Banchero, man, 39 points. Whew. I want to bring up the exact stat line.
Should have had 41.
Yeah, should have 41. 39 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. The next closest person in scoring was Franz Wagner at 14 points. I mean, and they only lost by 1. How close can you be to heading back to home with a 3-2 lead over Cleveland? This must have the Magic sick, but tomorrow they will host the Cleveland Cavaliers at the Kia Center. Kev, can the Magic spark a little bit in the Kia Center tomorrow and force a Game 7 back in Cleveland?
Yeah, I think they could force a Game 7. I do think that loss in Game 5 comes back to haunt them, though. That's the one that got away, so to speak. So, yeah, I think they had every opportunity to win that game, and I think that ball should have been in Paolo's hands down 2 when Franz tried to drive it on Mobley. I would have liked to see the ball in Banchero's hands in that situation. He had 36 points at that point in the game, and I just for multiple reasons than just scoring. Like he was getting to his spots and hitting shots, but he's also a great playmaker. So I would have really liked to see the ball in his hands and him being able to just either create for himself or create for somebody else. And I think you live with that result more than you live with Franz Wagner being blocked at the rim by Evan Mobley on a layup attempt that he jumped off his
wrong foot. Yeah,
wrong foot, and then try to lay it up with the wrong hand instead of using his body to block.
He's not D Wade.
Yeah. I was very perplexed by the by the decision making, but
Fair.
young
Fair.
Young
team.
team there, yeah.
June, what do you think?
I think what Kev thinks. I do think that the Magic, from what I know and what I've seen, the Magic are holding it down at home, right? And this Cavs team is playing much different basketball on the road. That was the closest game we got all series last game, and I'm at the bar watching the end of the Knicks game, and hanging out with some friends from Knicks Twitter after that game, and they weren't showing the Magic game. So unfortunately, I didn't get to see it in real time. I got to catch the highlights and realize Paulo Banchero was just killing his opponents. Um, and to Kev's point, yeah, who should have had the ball in their hand with the game on the line? Your best player, who's almost got a 40 piece. What is the guy with 14 points doing with the ball? That was the outcome you're going to get. I do think Orlando forces the game 7, though. I'm not going to say to Kev like that game 5 is the one. I mean, it is the one that got away, but I don't know that, they can't come back from it. Hey, they win this game today or tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, they win this game tomorrow. It's up. It's up. I could see the Magic going into Cleveland and stealing game 7. That's just going to be who wants it more at that point.
That's going. This is going to end up being a fantastic finish, in my opinion. I want to give back or kick it back to the live looking into Bucks and Pacers. Pacers look to be running away with it a little bit, up 11 with 7 minutes left in the first half, 45-34. They did outscore Indianapolis. I mean, they did outscore Milwaukee by 9 in the first quarter, and they're outscoring them by 2 in the second quarter right now. Looks like they're aiming to close it off. Close it out, not close it off. That's crazy. We had some early MLB today. Nothing too crazy. Yankees just can't get it together. The Mets actually get it together. Look at that. Should have backed the Mets and faded the Yankees today.
Hey, the Mets got robbed yesterday. I'm not gonna lie. Mets got robbed last night.
Keep your hand down. Hand came up. Tag got him before his hand touched the plate. He didn't get robbed. He just didn't keep his hand out.
They did change the rule with blocking the plate, and I think that could have been used right there. But hey,
Boston did lose at home today as well. San Fran took a 3-1 victory, and the Rangers, after getting beat yesterday by the Nationals in a game where a lot of people won some money off the books, come back today, stand on business. Your boy Nate Eovaldi, June, just did what Nate Eovaldi likes to do.
Hey, real quick, Boston is in third place in the AL East, but the Yankees and the Orioles are only 2 games up. I mean, we're only a game and a half out of second place and 2.5 games out of first. I'm happy where we're at right now at this point of the season. We do have we're like top 5 in home runs hit, and we're like the best with the ERA. So, things haven't gone our way at home this year. We're losing games, some that we should have won, but it's a young team. I'll continue to say that, and we are playing pretty good. So for us to be sitting here at 18-14, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, everything in the MLB seems to be kind of status quo. The Astros in last place in the AL West. That's right. Astros, however you want to say it. The White Sox, just can't score a run.
The colonizer Sox.
They have a minus 84 run differential. And if I'm not mistaken, that is, the highest, next to only Colorado, who has a minus 75 run
and
differential.
They thought their manager was the issue last year.
They thought
Tim Anderson was the issue.
Yeah. Tampa Bay, with their slow start, is very interesting. Last in the AL East,
Then again, it might be Tim Anderson though, because he's on the Marlins now, and they're like one of the worst teams in the league. So I don't know.
Hey, I believe the Marlins did win today against Colorado. I mean, this is, I
I,
think, their
Yeah,
so
you
how
said
third
it.
Drake
straight
did it in
win.
that video? Ooh, Colorado.
They won. They won 3 straight, all against Colorado. Sounds right.
It sounds like the Celtics beating the Heat. We'll go off.
Oh man, we got a bigger slate of MLB tomorrow. Live slate of the NBA playoffs. There is a Canelo fight on Saturday night, which there was a very interesting, little
Yeah,
squarm off.
can we change it to Canelo versus De La Hoya instead?
Hey, Della Hurd took a couple steps back when Canelo got up. I don't know if those were out of Canelo's safety for Canelo or safety for himself. Who knows? But that's neither here nor there. I'm there for any Canelo fight. I'm backing Canelo. A little bit biased, but it's neither here nor there. I'm backing Canelo every time. That's how I feel. Do you guys have any closing thoughts on NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs for that matter, or MLB?
Two things. Kirby Smart, shout out to him. First head
Facts.
coach in college football making $13 million a year. You're getting a 10-year deal, 130. He's 94-16 since joining UGA. Won championship in 2021 and 2022. He's doing his thing. He's the best coach out right now, and he's getting. You thought Jimbo Fisher got that bag? Kirby Smart get that bag. Also,
Well, Jimbo Fisher don't got to work.
do good enough so that you can do bad. If we start to see the rise and now the fall of UGA, you know what's going on. But Austin Matthews is out tonight versus the Bruins in a big closeout game for Boston. But good news for the Maple Leafs is that although they are down 3-2, Boston is 0-5 in their last 5 elimination games.
And the bad news for both of those teams is the winner has to play the Panthers.
Hey, and we know what we know what happened to Boston last year when they played the Panthers.
Hey, you and I.
That was bad. Yeah, that was bad. I don't know if it was worse for the Celtics or for them, but I think it was worse for them.
Hey, I remember I went to game 3 and I walked out that arena like, well, there goes the season. And Lord and behold, 4 straight on their ass. You heard? So, yeah, bad news for both those teams. Like Kev said, it's time to hunt.
The bad news Bruins.
Cats. You know what I mean? And you got to play the Cats.
So real quick though, E, you have anything on that game? Do you have an idea who's going to win that? Because 0-5 in your last 5 elimination games, now it's starting to feel a little mental.
I mean, it's definitely always fuck the Toronto Maple Leafs. You guys can get the Cats if you want. Although I got a little bit of love for Toronto, but not that much love for Toronto.
Crody.
I do think Boston closes this out, man. There's just something about this Bruins team that I do see them tightening up and closing this out. Pause. On the road, and being able to breathe easy for at least a day or two until you got to travel down to South Florida, to Sunrise, Florida.
What murder?
A quick Champions League update, man. We're in the semifinals. Everything seems beautiful. PSG did lose. Paris Saint-Germain did lose yesterday 1-0 to Borussia Dortmund in their first leg, which was in Germany. Bayern Munich and Real Madrid tied, so their aggregate is at 2-2 going to Germany. No, sorry, going to Real Madrid, going to Spain. I honestly, whoever wins in the semifinal round between Bayern and Real Madrid, I got winning the Champions League personally, because PSG and Borussia Dortmund. It's awesome that Borussia Dortmund made it here after losing Erling Haaland to Man City, but I just think that Bayern and Real Madrid look way better, way more in tune. Vinicius Jr. is on a complete tear.
Vinny.
Vinicius Jr. on a complete tear. Harry Kane, I mean, enjoying his first year in Germany, I guess, did score a penalty for Bayern. which cashed the over, by the way. Gang. Whoever took the over, your cash with me straight to the bank. And the guy Sané, man, I really like this guy. Leroy Sané from Germany, well, from Bayern Munich. He is a German national. The guy got heart. He moves off the ball great. He makes the right cuts. Him and Kane. I haven't been catching too much of Bayern Munich this year, so I'll catch a little more of them next year. But him and Kane, the combination seems to be very deadly. But I don't know. Real Madrid just looks like I say, Los Blancos be blacking out.
Combination.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, as we cross this 1 hour mark, this was your Thursday night NBA playoff, MLB update, Champions League, EPs, EPL corner, all of that. Shout out to Canelo. If you tuned in live, we appreciate you for taking time out. If you're listening after the fact on all your streaming platforms, thank you so much. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here with us. June?
Shout out to Kev for making her wait at least another 5 to 6 to 7 minutes.
Hey, yo, that is crazy.
That's
that
love.
is crazy. Hey, and we're out. We'll see you guys on Monday.